Good afternoon. Happy New Year to you all. Welcome to Talking Trade Live with On the Tools. If you haven't recognised this ugly mug by now, my name's Andy. I'm going to be the host for the next half hour or so. And today's topic is, well, the beginning of the new year. What is in store for us? Brexit. What does that mean? There's already a shortage of timber and insulation out there. Anything else going on? And obviously, another lockdown. I don't know what it is, third, fourth, fifth, we lose track. And does that mean we're back at work? Or obviously, are a lot of you still not able to go in? Great to have Steve and Alex, Bricklayer Supreme from Lancashire joining. However, as you can see, they're indoors. Welcome, Steve and Alex. Bit cold up with you, isn't it?
Just a bit,
yeah. Mine's too.
I think it dipped in Boxing Day. It's never come back up since.
So this is another thing which the internal trades, the spreads, decorators, chippies, they don't obviously appreciate that ground workers and bricklayers and renderers, roofers, when you're using anything with water, can't work. So let us know. Get these comments flying in. How is New Year looking for you? First of all, Tripster 2011. It looks like there's no concern for us construction workers still. I work in a shipyard, and if it's as bad as it was in March, then why the flip are we still working? Or is it bullshit? 250 plus guys are in here. Steve and Alex, is there any care going on, or is it just back to work for us workers?
It's like it's in the construction industry. It's just sort of just carry on, just keep it going. They put all these all these rules and regulations for COVID, blah blah blah, and then you do your what's the word? Can't always call it. You do your induction. So you get all the rules, and then you walk out and bump into somebody and get chatting. You stood there chatting to somebody, and it's all just forgotten.
Well, I think the big difference that we've covered before is if it's going to be site work or residential. Richard Steve Watson, he said if you're working with a gang or on your own, then yes, I presume he's doing residential works. But if you're on big sites, is it the usual waiver, sign this, or you can't come to work? So please let us know on that. Now, it's an interesting one. Tim Holmes, guys, has said we're cannon fodder because we've got no union. What do you guys think to that?
A good example of that is our scaffold has been changed. They've got rid of a lifter scaffold, which is cocked the joiners up, it's cocked us up, and it's just made it difficult to us. And obviously, first thing a bricklayer is going to do is moan about it. So he moaned to the build manager, I think, and the build manager said, if you don't like it, F off and find work somewhere else. That's it, because they know they'll just get another gang in.
Well, this is what's happening on the big sites, isn't it? If you're not signing this disclaimer, if you're not willing to come into work when it possibly isn't COVID safe, then on your bike, we'll get the next one in. So there's the big sites. It doesn't seem. We've had a lot of viewers over the last year comment on this. If you're on a big site, what's the old? What are the formalities? Have you got to be signing these documents before you come on? Here we go. Sites will only shut if one of us dies. Keith Best. Do you know what? I hate to say it, but he's right, isn't he?
Yeah. We've had a few cases on here, haven't we?
Yeah.
I think there's been about 3 or 4 people have been off with COVID and just come straight back to work. They've not got it bad, but they've been and come back, and their families had it, and it's just
as if they're off with like
flu.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how long.
So much pressure. I mean, this time of year is crap. You got your credit card bills, Christmas, and all the rest of it to pay for, and then something about tax. Someone once mentioned you got to pay. So there's that coming up. You got your VAT returns. You got all the usual stuff. So there's pressure from the household partners, to get back to work. So, crikey, this is brilliant. Thanks ever so much for all the comments. I'm struggling to keep up with them, but Ben Webb. Hasn't stopped. Good for you, mate. Work's busier than ever in the building management trade sites are getting laxed with COVID, so no social distancing. He was on a site in Exeter with 900 staff on site, 30 to 40 people in a plant room. Jesus. Just chaos. I can't see my mates or family. It's a weird one, but the building trade makes up 10% of GDP, spot on there. Over 150 billion quid a year, so they can't afford them to close. It's a valid point, isn't it? 10% of GDP is bang on there. Without us, that's a lot of money not coming back in. Do you feel, though, we're not getting the care guys because we're worth so much to them?
It's a tough one, really. It's nobody really talks about it. You just turn up for work and you get on with it.
Do you think this has got to stop, though? Why are we looked at? Paul Raspel's just said this. Been on sites where they don't even test. They just say if you're sick, don't show up. And we got shut down for almost a month. Here we go. Slim, grievous. Money keeps the bastards running. As a human race, we've lost all compassion. I mean, it seems that it's full guns blazing. Doesn't matter if you got COVID.
Well, it's like that here as well, isn't it? There's just a sign that says, like, if you have symptoms, don't come in. That's it.
That's it. Never had a temperature taken. Nothing like that.
Because when I take my little ones to school, they get the old temperature test on their forehead. When they go in, apparently they have it during the day as well. The windows are open to keep fresh air coming in, and it's 0 degrees here at the moment. They seem to have a lot more. I know they're in a closed room, but as one of the lads who was watching earlier said, plant room with 500-600 people in. So if you've just joined us, we got a lively one. The comments are flying in. We're talking about construction, how us trades are being affected with the new year. Brexit is that we're going to talk about in a minute. Price rises, timber, insulation shortages, but also this delightful lockdown, which I think will probably dictate a lot of stuff that we talk about. I'm going to try and read out as many of these comments. Keep dropping them in. Christopher Nevitt, capital letters, no, it's not safe. He works in the back office in construction. This is interesting. And numerous engineers have passed it on to each other. I also know of contractors who have caught it from sites. It's a vicious circle that needs to be stopped. Now that is a worry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's interesting that he's seen it from engineers that have passed it on, and obviously trades.
So ours isn't a big site, is it?
No, it's not a massive site.
No, there's probably about 5 gangs of bricklayers, but they're all spread out. So you're not.
But that's where it's safe. If you're you know on a site and you're doing new builds and you're working on your brickwork away from others, then that in theory that's safe. But it sounds like a lot what Christopher's saying is people aren't doing this, so it's actually spreading, and it seems to be. I don't know if you want to believe the press, but this new strain seems to be more contagious. Sam Tayman, Bellway site I'm on, is spot on. This is good to hear. A bit of positivity.
Yeah.
One-way system, one trade per plot. God, the old decorators will be bored, won't they? No one to talk to. One person per van on site. Glad I'm here, though, because I can't afford to be off. Sam, great to hear. Positive news. Bellway Homes, hats off to you, if I had a hat. I've got a mask. I'll take that off. Well done, Bellway Homes. Great to hear you've got your health and safety in order. Mikey Caney, the only temperature check on our site is a thermometer to see if it's warm enough for the brickies to start laying. Well, that says it all.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, just going through these. John Field, he's sat at home furloughed, capped at £2,500 a month, and still won't guarantee you don't get COVID. He's happy to still be in work. Mark Wilkinson's other half is a teacher. Honestly, they're getting it quite bad. Listen, but I've got 2 little ones that are at school, and schools are shut or they're not shut. And the key workers have their children go in. You should see the numbers in the schools. We're not talking 1 or 2. We are talking huge numbers. So, is that Mark? I hope your wife's okay. It's you're right. Teachers are doing a hell of a job. Adam Stevenson, he's been on a few sites and they were following procedures with the temperature check, but no one bothered following procedure. Jesus, I tell you what, big sites, have a word with yourself. This is people's bloody lives we're talking about here. Jay McDermott, he worked at a steel stockholders. The work coming through for these big sites still coming because we're getting busy. We still are. I could probably count on my finger how many big jobs have been pushed back due to COVID. Steel prices are as high as ever. Now, Stephen Alex, this is another thing we'll quickly go into. Prices. Brexit can be blamed for an increase in prices, but timber, we're looking at 40% from last year to this year because there's such a shortage. Do you guys feel of? Let me ask you, as bricklayers, bricks, blocks, aggregates, how are your price rises up there?
So far, I haven't priced anything this year, so I've not seen any of the prices. But I know blocks have gone ridiculous. You're talking the odd bricks. You're ranging 50p a brick up to £1.40 a brick, depends on the bricks. And the blocks, I think the Fiberlight blocks, which we used to use, used to be 90p a block. I think they're up to about £1.40 a block now.
What?
About £1.40 a block. And
it wasn't that long ago they were 90p because I was using them beginning of last year.
These are Fiberlights. They're like 3.5 Newton lightweight block.
Yeah.
They're like they're as light as thermalites, but as strong as a concrete block. But they've gone ridiculous, and they're only made in Cheshire. It's not like
claim import duty or delays overseas. Mm-hmm. Martin Ashford's asked a question: is kitchens and bathroom replacements classed as essential work? Is construction, mate? As far as the research I've done, as long as your client is happy for you to be there and you follow the correct guidelines, with social distancing, mask, cleaning your hands, that sort of thing, yes, you can go to work if you're happy to do so. Obviously, it's your call, but you're actually able to do that. Sorry, guys, just going through these comments. Thank you very much, everybody, sending these in. We've got a lively one talking about beginning of the year. How is us trades being affected? Charlie Baker, he's a spread. Works with other people, allowed to go into other people's houses, but can't get to the people's houses I work with. Doesn't make any sense. Where have the customers? No one knows. I mean, the reality is, I think it's residential work, Stephen, Alex. It's down at the customer as well as the contractor deciding to go in.
Yeah.
Rules still aren't very clear, though, are they?
No. I've got 3 jobs to look at, and I'm going to ring them up and first say, do you still want us to go ahead with it? It's up to you. We'll come and do the work as long as you're happy, and then we'll proceed from there if you want us to carry on.
Sorry, guys. Back to some of the comments. Keep them coming in. Simon Smith, the construction to carry on, but what about the general builder working in people's homes? That's what I do, in case any of you are unsure. I don't do any site work. No checks there, but the homeowners can't go to work. Doesn't figure. See, this is back to the problem, isn't it? If you're doing quite a lot of people, Billy Anderson, he's a kitchen fitter. Quite a few are going into people's houses.
Mm.
These people are either furloughed or working from home. If it's a small place, how can you social distance and make sure everything's clean? Okay, let me ask you this, Stephen, Alex. It's so much uncertainty. Who needs to put these guidelines in place? Because the ones we've got at the moment are obviously not clear enough. We've got a lot of people on here on sites, residentials, commercials, not knowing what's going on. Who should be doing these guidelines? Someone that actually is on the tools or works on sites? Because what we've got coming through is, I think my 6-year-old lad would do a better job.
We need a minister for construction, don't we?
One that knows what he's doing.
Yeah. An ex-joiner, an ex-bricklayer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the government sitting there, right, construction, 10% GDP, get them all back to work, but actually saying, right, Mr. Bricklayer, multi-trade, roofer, whoever, someone with some skill sets that's worked on sites for decades, what is the reality of this? And then we can sit down and get messages out to I think it's 1.4 million trades on the tools in this country, plus all the, obviously, engineers and site managers, health and safety. We need to get this sorted out, don't we? So if you're up for the job, please message on the tools and they'll put you in touch with a bloke called Boris, floppy blonde hair. I don't know what he does.
The thing is, for every self-employed person working, is one less self-employed grant to pay. So they're saving £6,000 per person who's working.
But also, you've got the other side of it. Us self-employed that are sole directors of limited companies that pay ourselves $650 a month, the rest in dividends, we get nothing.
Yeah.
So we need to go to work.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that it's still freezing here, 0 degrees on the van, there's no chance of me, same as you. You can't lay any bricks or blocks in this weather. But we need to get people back to work. Jamie Barnes, on the flip side, another Bellway Home employee, he said it's crap. They have the systems. Nobody takes any notice. This is the other side of it. If the big developers are putting in place these systems, they've got to have someone there making sure that people follow them. That's key, isn't it? There's no point in having them there if everyone's mucking about.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. John Stewart, 6 men travelling in the same van to a job.
See that all the time on the motorway. Yeah.
You do, of course you do. You know, a lot of trades don't drive. The
No.
labourers, the youngsters can't afford to get a van on the road.
It's a crew cab, isn't it now?
Yeah. I mean, my van, this old Renault Traffic that I'm sitting in, you've got the driver and then you've got 2 passengers, and it's the width of a van. There's no way that's safe. Labourers on the roof yesterday. Only joking. Right, keeping the comments up to date. Apologies if I don't read them out. It's great to see everybody being involved. Here we go. Oh, Liam Jennings has been in holiday in Turkey. It's all right for some fella. We're sitting here in the freezing cold waiting for it to thaw out. Lots of comments about, how much can we do? How much can't we do? Tell you what, this is a good one. Ryan and Debbie's, good name. I'm not quite sure how true this is. It says, can work on a site with 800 others, but he can't go fishing on his own.
No.
It's a bit like golf, isn't it? Now, I play golf. I retired from rugby, started playing golf. We don't stay together as a 4-ball. You got one going that way. You got one going that way. You only see each other on the tee box and the green. Yeah, exactly. That it's a shame because that's good exercise. You're outside in nature. Yeah. I would like to ask everybody, how are you in terms of inquiries? Because I think this is a key point for this year. Are customers and big sites ploughing ahead with work, or are people being hesitant? We were talking, Steve, Alex and myself, before we came on air, that the inquiries are there, but a lot of customers seem to be a little bit hesitant in signing that contract, sending the deposit, actually getting that job started. There's the uncertainty, obviously, over materials. National Supply I was talking to yesterday, carcass timber is a month. I've still heard fence panels on allocation. Insulation is also being delayed, so that stops a lot of us going to work. Please let us know, are you still busy? Is the phone still ringing, or are people a little bit more hesitant? Dave Webb, he's been off for 10 months now. He's furloughed for 3 months, then lost his job. I'm sorry to hear that, Dave. Then his CSCS card ran out, just finished a new card course. I've no chance of a job till this virus is over. Pain in the arse. You see, this is what the government aren't helping with. Dave, first of all, I'm sorry to hear that you lost your job, mate. It's, it's not a good time for us at the moment. But, the reality is, I bet he's getting nothing from the government when he really needs it. And you've got some companies out there furloughing staff and getting them to come in and work as well. Dave, let us know where you are, Dave Webb. I'll put a shout out. Who knows? Listen, a lot of people watch this. If we can get you something, then please get in touch. Let us know where you are. Jeff Steffen, he's with his helper in a warehouse. That's 1,000 people on a conveyor assembly line. Wait for this. No masks, no temperature checks. Boss says it's up to me. I tell you what, it's a good job I'm not on that thing. I think the boss would be getting a little bit more back from me. Boss of that job, look after your staff, you clown. Yeah. Mark Cottrell, how can it be safe when you've trades from all over congregating outside, waiting to sign in, mingling together? This is true, isn't it? I'm a ground worker. It's impossible to work within the 2-metre rules when laying curbs, lifting lids. Of course it is. Doesn't seem to be a great deal of support for construction workers. Steve and Alex, back to it. It seems we're very busy, site work and residential. Everyone's back to work, but the big jobs not being looked after as staff, are we?
No. It's funny, I was watching Charlie Collinson on YouTube last night, and they're up on the table lift at the top of the pikes, and they got an email off the boss to say they have to wear the masks at all time, all day, and they're up on the table lift, away from everybody, but they have to wear the masks all day, which is like going the other way with it.
The thing that I love is when you see people driving around on their own with a mask on.
Yeah. Tickles me that.
Might yourself. So where are we? Let's look at Brexit, because listen, I think one thing that's an easy get out is to have a good old moan up about COVID. I think we've established one thing: we're not looked after as an industry. It's some rules are in place. Some sites, from what we've seen from a lot of comments, either have something in place but they're not being adhered to. People are just mucking about or ignoring them, or they got nothing. So if anyone is watching of a senior stance, make sure you look after your workers, because without them, you're stuffed. And this is obviously quite a serious virus. Now, Steve and Alex up there, let's talk about bricks and blocks and your aggregates that you guys use. Any sign of shortages? I mean, obviously most of the stuff is quarried here, so I'd imagine you guys, in terms of bricklayers, are okay material wise.
Yeah, not too bad. The thing with the biggest problem up here is nobody stocks stuff anymore. You can't walk in and have a wander around, and you need a brick. You used to go into the builder's yard, walk through the bricks, and get a good match.
Yeah,
you don't have anything in stock. Oh, you can get it for you, but it's going to be 2 weeks. There's nothing. You can't just go and pick it up.
Is that a national or an independent?
That's probably a good half of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's an independent, and they just seem to carry less stock. They don't have stock hanging around in the yard for some reason.
Perhaps the bricks are self-isolating and got to keep a 2 metre distance.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, my theory on that is, as an independent, perhaps they've been affected by cash flow and they can't afford to stock. But God, the amount of times I didn't take it out, but I'd take a picture of a customer's brick and go in and try and match it as close as possible. So when you're teething in, it actually looks as though it's always been there, not some horrible, cheap engineering thing. So, guys and girls, Brexit, is this a worry for you and your crew? Is materials potentially going to be in short supply? As I say, conversation I had yesterday with a national was carcassing, so your 4x2, etc., is a month. And insulation is also 2 to 3 weeks. So that is a major concern. I just want to reiterate, we are obviously talking about England, Wales and Scotland. We understand are very, very similar, as is Northern Ireland. Republic of Ireland are slightly different. Now, I've heard that it's essential work. Like if you're finishing a site, it needs to be finished because people haven't got the money to keep renting. But they're a lot more restricted. So if you've got any of you over in the Republic of Ireland, do let us know. Here we go. Neil Allen Garner, he said, it seems to me residential customers that are allowing the work to still go ahead and let us tradesmen in their homes, actually the people that are not interested in socially distances. This is interesting. Sitting on your shoulder. They love it. The watchers sitting on your shoulder as you're trying to work to have a natter, as they can't in the office as they're on furlough, even after explaining that I'll be keeping to all socially distant guidelines up front. This is another thing, isn't it? One thing that the government clearly haven't thought about. So many people are working from home or furloughed. We wander in to fit a kitchen, plaster a room, decorate, whatever. They want to have a chat. So they're going to be coming up to us.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that? Because that's something which no one's thought about. It's a good point from Neil.
It's the same thing when you work for somebody who's retired. They're just glad of someone to talk to because they don't work anymore, and they're just glad to have someone there to talk to. On the plus side as well is if you go to price a job, they're always in. Doesn't matter when you go, there's always somebody in now.
Well, I'm looking at one on Monday, an outbuilding. Is I suppose a studio / den for the dad and the boys, and a couple of bathrooms. Now you got to go in to look at it properly to price it. I need to see what's existing bathroom wise. Where's the soil stack? Where's all the waste running? Is he going to have a rejig around and move the loo the other side of the room? So we've got to sort that out. Sorry, just Ollie Mack, we've had a storage of plaster because it came from France, but all back to normal now. Yeah, Saint-Gobain, for what I heard, chucked on a load of extra people to get the plaster. So obviously your hardwall, bond-in, finish, dot and dab. That's all back to normal, which is great. There was plaster coming in from France and Ireland. There's obviously a couple of other brands that are trying to break into the market. But the good thing is plaster seems to be back up and running because that was a huge issue last year. Remember, they were going for 40, 50 quid a bag.
Yeah, first time, yeah.
So all I can say is if you're watching and you've gone out and stocked up on plaster and tried to sell it for a profit to us trades, I hope you're stuck with it and it's gone past its sell-by date because that's bang out of order. Yeah. Ricky Jones, thank you for your comment. We work on all big building sites. TW Bellway, Bovis. I got Boris on the brain. Simon. They're terrible. Nobody's adhering to the rules. Walking the wrong way down one-way systems. Shared disgusting toilets. Way more trades in a single plot than there should be. Trades are the worst offenders. Never wearing a mask until they see a COVID officer. I'd like to know.
What's about to say? What's a COVID officer?
I was just going to say, I'd love to know, Ricky Jones, COVID officer. Have they got a special coloured hard hat or high vis? And How do you become one of them? It's well, please let me know. Big sites. What are these COVID officers? God, blimey, who's going to want to do that for a living? Andy Mack, agree 100% with Neil's comments about the watchers. We have certain areas in the borough where families take shifts watching you. Oh my God. Andy, mate, I'm so sorry to hear this. The watchers are the worst. If one gets up to do something, another takes their place until you finish the job. Watchers are the ones that are going to spread it, not us trades. We want to work social distance. Sorry, guys, just keep reading the comments out. It's really good to hear what what's happening across the country. Kyle Funnel, so dangerous. The country instructed by government to only go out for medical and food, but as a Sparky, it's okay for me to go and fit new lights because a customer doesn't like what they have. Install a hot tub supply. Crikey, yeah, he's right. Are these essential? You know, if you've got a leaking waste pipe, pouring water through your hallway ceiling, that's essential. You know, running, your armored cable or whatever he's running for the hot tub, which is a luxury. Is that essential? Again, classification. Please, Boris. Leonard Hirsch, thank you for your comment. He's in Germany. Same over there. He's working as a roofer, driving around with 5 people in a van. Here we go. But after work, he's not allowed to leave the town and only one person's allowed to meet you at home. Makes a mockery, doesn't it? Yeah. Don't you think?
Yeah.
You know, 5, 6 lads in the van and you can't meet anyone afterwards.
And you're allowed to go to work, but like you're allowed to do all these work at people's homes, but you're not allowed to travel to the homes because of this lockdown.
Yeah, you're right. Paul Buskey runs a cleaning company, and we have furloughed all our cleaners that work direct in people's houses, even though we could make them work. But all commercial sites, including offices, schools, factories, housing associations, communals, all staff are working, but have been checked for them working under totally safe, people, clear environments. So some companies are being responsible and not sending them in unless it is essential. So it's good to hear that, Paul. Apologies. Great. Thank you for the comments. I'm so sorry. I can't read them all out. Leslie Richardson. Hello again, regular viewer. I feel that going to work is safe on 2 conditions. Steve and Alex want to hear your thoughts on this. Number 1, persons with people in their homes with COVID symptoms self-isolate as they should do so therefore not mixing with others. And B, the workers themselves / employers adhere to social distancing when at work. If either fails, then people are put at risk.
They're the 2 basic ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
People start following it. I mean, when the universities went back, it was chaos. They were like super spreading. You know, they weren't doing any of that, and then it's been all of a sudden we're back going like this again.
One thing is alarming. This virus, as we all know, it's about 2 weeks before you get it if you've been in touch with someone with it. So you wait for the 2 weeks after Christmas and New Year. We're going to have a massive spike. Watch old Boris lose some more hair. Alex Thorbrand, let's move on to this. Thanks, Alex. I was just about to mention this. Wondering how Brexit will affect Labour long term. He works with a large number of Romanians. If they can't work in the UK, will there be a national shortage for general labour? I've heard a lot have gone back because the paperwork is such a ball ache. And also they're worried they're going to be kicked out. They've got families, young kids, and also their economy is picking up in Eastern Europe, Poland, Lithuania, Romania. Steve and Alex, have you got many Eastern Europeans up your way working, or a lot of them gone back already? Because we could end up with a shortage.
It's not on our site, is it?
Not on our site now.
No, they're all pretty much local.
Well, down this way, down south, London, huge numbers. I think the research, it was 29-30% Eastern Europeans. And listen, simple math, isn't it? If they suddenly go back, you know, everyone knows my view on the apprenticeships and how that is a disaster. We've not got enough coming through. So, Alex, I agree, mate. We're going to have a shortage in labour. God, if my lad was old enough, I'd be getting him straight into the trade because, as we know, we can earn good money doing this rather than going to university, 50 grand in debt, and then you're in Tesco's stacking shelves. Back to Lee Harben. Sorry, I keep wiping my nose. I feel like an old man. I've got this dewdrop because it is absolutely freezing sitting in here. I bet if every building site was checked to be COVID safe, 80-90% would be closed down. Lee, I'm all over you, mate. I really agree with that comment. How can you social distance on building sites when the majority of the time you can't work on your own as it's too dangerous? It's such a valid point, isn't it? Do you feel, Steve and Alex, you mentioned earlier that it's going to take someone to die before this is taken serious? You remember the electrical regs would change when an MP's daughter, funny enough, not far from me, South London, drilled into her kitchen wall. The cable was on an angle and she killed herself. And now, obviously, we've got the grids and everything you've got to work in. Have we got to have an awful news of a death before someone looks at this, do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's until something bad happens, they're just going to keep fudging along, aren't they?
Even with people with having cases on here, like the forklift driver on our site had COVID,
And his
wife, and they didn't do anything to the forklift. Like, he's been in there, obviously, like with his brew cup was still in there. Like, they didn't even clean the forklift out, knowing that he'd had COVID. They just left it there.
What this seems to me from you guys and all the comments is, we want to go to work. Tradespeople prefer working than sitting at home watching Jeremy Kyle and getting in the old woman. The problem is you've got site managers and what we're now seeing, customers that are furloughed, all working from home. They're all turning into the watchers. Oh, what are you doing? Can you show me how to do that? And you're like, oh, you're doing that right. I've seen this on YouTube. You're like, are you going to be wearing one in a minute? So I think this is a new situation for us trades. This is, the sites are down to site manager. I haven't heard anything on COVID officers. Please get in touch as a COVID officer. I want to see what that's all about. But also,
check.
Sorry, go on.
You try working. You try. They won't do your temperature check for COVID, but you try going to work and putting your hood up under your hard hat. It's like a disciplinary offence, that now.
Really?
Oh yeah. You're not allowed to wear a hood under a hard hat. It's very dangerous.
Life-threatening. Hot off the press, Steve and Alex. Don't put your...
And then summer is shorts. You're not allowed to wear shorts anymore.
Shorts are the devil on this site.
Yeah.
Shorts. This one, just for a bit of a giggle. This one has always made me laugh as a bricklayer, right? Shorts for a bricklayer. Is the string line going to cause you a slight abrasion on your bare leg? Is that the reason, do we think?
Yeah.
I mean, please, any bricklayer that knows what these regs are for wearing shorts. Liam Jennings, he's got COVID officers. Liam, let us know. What do they do? Because he said they don't do anything on his job. I'm beginning to think are they part of health and safety? Are they part of site management? This is a new trade, isn't it? COVID officers. Let's see what they look like. Liam Jennings, he's back again. He sees them come to site, then he has coffee and goes home.
Sounds about right.
It sounds exactly. Well, listen, I think we're slowly running out of time. Thanks ever so much for everyone's comments. I think one thing we can take from this comment is this is a very new way of working. Last year we had lockdowns, we had unclear guidelines, but this year we have now got site work COVID officers. I'm gonna go and find a site, and I'm gonna go and find one of them. We've got these COVID officers that are obviously going to hopefully enforce safety rules, but also the big thing is residential. What we're forgetting is, and a few people have commented, you've got a lot of people that are working from home or furloughed. So we're trying to go in as trades, do the social distancing, cleaning our hands, wiping down, etc. But we've got these watchers, and they listen. If they're in an office, they enjoy talking to people, and suddenly the poor old decorator or kitchen fitter, whatever he or she is, has got a watcher on their shoulder. Interesting. Sorry, just one last comment. Evelyn Garvey is a driving instructor. She's had to stop lessons when following all the rules, cleaning in between pupils. Yet construction and factories are still open. Makes no sense. And then, as you guys say, 5-6 in a cab. Yeah. She's got one. Listen, thanks ever so much, Steve and Alex. This could go on all afternoon. I'm so grateful to all the viewers sending comments in. Apologies if I didn't read them out. I've got a little task. It seems like a lot of you guys and girls are either furloughed or frozen off, like Steve and Alex. For next week's show, go and look for a COVID officer. I'm going out now. I'm going to because I want to know what training have they had, because it's a new virus. And what should we and shouldn't we be doing? It does make me laugh that they've got a new personally, let's just get us all back to work safely. So COVID officers, could be a good thing that you're there looking after us. Steve and Alex, I do hope it's going to start getting warmer for you guys up there. Obviously far too cold to be laying bricks. Thank you everybody for joining the show today. It's a new start for a new year, but listen, let's just keep together, work safely, and we'll see you all again next week.